Good evening. Welcome to Friday night show. Another transfer show with myself and Stato. Again, we have some more news today as regarding new signings, basically. So we've got 2 or 3 players to look at that Stato's kindly prepared for us. But before we go any further, we shall say, if you do like what you see, hit that thumbs up button. It's really important to us that you do that and show people how great we are. It'll push us up the search engine in YouTube for like-minded football fans and get us more views that way and more subscribers. Bearing that in mind, if you are new to the channel, hit that subscribe button because it doesn't cost you anything to join the channel as a subscriber. On the way now, 21,000 after that massive milestone last weekend. Super chats are also available by clicking the dollar sign and also memberships too by clicking the join sign. It's a paid subscription really, and it gives you a fully fledged membership of the Toon Review community, which is something to look forward to. Had a good day today, Stato?
Yeah, very good. It was very difficult trying to prepare for this. Obviously, all the links dropping during the day, and Minte, obviously the guy that everybody wants to hear about. We don't have much data on him. He's an 18-year-old in the Danish league. We don't track as much data there. So again, I pride myself on knowing. I watch a lot of leagues. I watch the Austrian Bundesliga. I watch the German Bundesliga. I try to watch a bit of the Portuguese league as well. But I've never watched the Danish Super League. I'm not going to pretend I have. I've never seen a 90 minutes of this kid. I was hoping I would have time to maybe watch one before the show. I haven't had a chance because I've had to try and prep everything. So I will try my best to give you a breakdown today. But of course, so we just learned about this today. He is on my short list. He's been on my long list because his name has come up, since the start of the year. It resurfaced again in sort of March, April. So he's sort of written down in my Excel spreadsheet, but I don't think we've covered him. But there we go. It's ready to be talked about. Romano's mentioned it, so very exciting.
Let's do some comments while we're here. Vincent's the first one in with some black and white curved dots there. We're all good for those. Evening to you, Gareth. Said evening, Billy. Evening, Gareth. Alex. Would-be farmer over in New Mexico is also here. Greetings, early birds. Charles Habsburg II of Spain. Great name. This should be a good transfer show. Very interested in the Gambian kid Fabrizio Romano has said we've signed. We shall come to that presently. Good evening to Antonio. Evening to Tom, the mod in the background. Baz Down Under says Stato is the man. He is indeed. Bye, here. Evening all. Evening, Tom. And he also says, anyone know anything about this Minty lad we've been watching clips? Well, we shall come on to that, as I say, presently. B. Taylor, evening to you. Toon Gamer says Minty will only sign if we can get a work permit for him. We'll go through that in a minute. And he also says he could be as good as Mane. Evening to you, Ian A. One for the future, says Jock. Evening, Jim, to you. Evening, TTR fan Billy, Paul, Alex, and Supermods. Paul will be back with us Sunday, I believe. Got a special show lined up for then, and he shall return then. Toon Game says we have had more talks with Arda Güler's parents scheduled in Dubai for this weekend as well. Yes, that's interesting if that happens. And he also says,
fingers crossed.
He also says rumours of talks for 21-year-old DM Brazilian Pablo Maia. First time I've heard that name, Alex. Have you heard of that?
Yeah, I think he's linked with quite a lot of clubs, though.
Is he? Is he playing in Brazil League? Is he?
I think so, yeah.
Jock says we've got 12 days till the window opens. Yes, we do. Yes, it's 2 weeks Wednesday. 2 weeks Wednesday. Evening to you, Stu. Hope you're well. Sean Taylor says this transfer window lasts 10 weeks. And Geordie Boy says, evening, everyone. Predator, evening, lads and lasses. Hope everyone is good this lovely sunny Friday night. It's very pleasant, I've got to say. Very pleasant outside. Could be a weekend of gardening apart from the cup final, of course, which is tomorrow. Afternoon to God. Haven't said that for a while. Colin Hamilton, hail, hope all's well. Who else we got? Jacko or Jacka 13924. Evening team. Hope everyone is well, and so the transfer roundabout begins. And hope you're all right, Paul. Away the lads and lasses. Geordie Boy then says it's a fine night on Tyneside. Colin says, and this is a prelude to what we're about to put on. How good is this Yakubo Minty panel? Please get his stats up. Also, would he be for first team? Might as well jump in there, might we, Alex? Might as well go straight for it and get Mr. Minty onto the screen. Here he is.
Right. So I'm going to disappoint you and say he doesn't have FBref data. We don't have the normal data that we would typically look at in sort of the shows that I prep, because he hasn't played enough minutes in a league that is recorded. Apparently, I can't remember if they record Danish Super League stats, but apparently not. So anyway, Yankuba Minte. I don't know if I'm saying that right. I have Googled how I'm supposed to be pronouncing that, but it's very difficult with Gambian because Gambian is not a language. Their official language is English. Their education system is in English. However, they do have some other languages. So it is part of the Niger Congo family. Mandinka, Wolof. They've got Pular, Serer, Diola, Soninke. So I don't know. I don't want to take a guess at which one of those it is and be disrespectful. I have no idea. So I'm just going to go with Minte for now. Minte. That's what we're going to go with. So I then say
there used to be a boxer from Liverpool actually who was called John Conte, pronounced like that, world champion, Conte. So I guess it could be Minte. We shall see.
Yeah, it depends on the influence, whether it's got a bit of French influence in the languages or because I think it's of tribal origin. So I don't know. It depends if it's got flavors of because obviously around Gambia shares a border with Senegal, so possibly it's got influences from around there. I'm not sure. We'll have to. It'd be really interesting to learn about. So, but anyway, this makes me feel really old that he's born in 2004. So yeah, born at 18-year-olds are now 2004. So 18 and 300 days and 315 days, if I can say it. 17 appearances, 1,200 minutes, 4 goals, 4 assists in the Danish Superliga this season. He has been quite impressive. If we scroll down, look, there's no stats. We can see some little bits and bobs of here, but and he's got no career stats here either. There's literally just the 18. There we go. That's what we've already seen anyway. So it doesn't really tell you much. So we're going to go straight to his SofaScore profile, where you can get to know him a little bit better. So he is quite a strong young player. We haven't got any stats here on his physical attributes, but I think he's like 5'10", 5'11", reasonably stocky. He's quite strong. Think maybe Joe Willock-esque, but obviously this kid's 5 years younger. The big thing here is he's left-footed. It would offer something different. So he is a winger, versatile winger / sort of advanced forward kind of player. But he's left-footed. So obviously Miggy's the only left-footed forward we've got currently in the squad. I mean, what we've got: Isak, Wilson, Murphy, Maxi, Gordon. All of them are all right-footed. It's just Miggy that we've got. So this guy would give us something different, albeit I will say this now, not likely for the first team. All reports lead to he's going to be loaned out straight away. So if we scroll down and have a little look. So he has dropped some absolute stinkers and some absolute worldy performances. It's a bit of a mishmash here. He is I think the best way to describe him is raw. Definitely raw. Probably, with how a lot of people don't like Maxi's game, don't watch this kid. Because if you watch him for 90 minutes, he'll probably frustrate you. But you can see the talent is absolutely there. So this is his most recent game in a 4-2-3-1, playing on the right side. If we bring up his little stats, we can have a look. So only played 32 minutes. He got substituted off for whatever reason. Struggled to get into the game a little bit here. 1 key pass he managed. Struggled with his general passing. No successful dribbles. So I had a bit of a shocker here. This is what I mean. Some of the games look outrageous and some of them look very meh. I'm going to have to go and watch some of this guy before I can give you a better assessment. And then this is the game prior to that. Literally 5 days before, 4-0, he scores in it and he drops an 8.5. In terms of the formation, again, he's on the right side of a 4-2-3-1. And if we have a look, that heat map is phenomenal, especially for a left footer. You can see exactly how he could play for us. 7 out of 7 long balls is pretty ridiculous. So whether he's initiating the counter attack for a long ball or whether he's just sprinting himself. You'll see a couple of clips in a bit when we look at some of the stuff from him, and some of the explosive runs are outrageous. 7 out of 9 completed dribbles is freakish. The physicality here from an 18-year-old, 11 out of 14 ground duels. Again, this right here is the underlying numbers here. I know it's the Danish Super League, but this is pretty ridiculous. It looks like a player who could be special. It's very early to tell, but 3 tackles, again, his defensive contributions and his pressures are very, very high. So we'll have a look at maybe one of his shockers. We've got to look at the bad as well. He dropped to 5.6 in the same position. Very difficult to try and explain why. Heat map looks okay. 2 key passes. I think this is possibly one of those games where he gave away a penalty. He tried 11 dribbles, but only managed to complete 3 of them. So they were trying to shut him down quite aggressively. 21 ground duels and 1-7. So this guy wants to be involved in absolutely everything. He's always trying to be involved. And I think that rating, penalty committed 1. So that's why they've tanked his rating in this instance. But you can see what this kid is about. Physical, and he's trying to dribble the ball as much as possible and be explosive. And it's all about transition with this kid. So let's have a look at Gambia. So this is my next point. If we look at Gambia, so he's not been capped by Gambia yet, not officially. So everybody's talked about work permit issues. Well, not issues. More the fact that he'll have to go out on loan until he's able to get a proper work permit. And again, it depends on his development and when we want him to be, a first team player for us. Likely not at the beginning. However, I have noticed that he's got, not him, Gambia have a game coming up in the Africa Cup of Nations qualifying on the 14th of June. So in under 2 weeks. But I don't know if anybody else can maybe check this. I can't find out if he's been called up. I can't find the squad list for this yet. I'm not sure if it's been announced officially, so I can't tell. But this maybe could have an impact on the transfer, on whether he gets a work permit, what's in the contract, whether he gets a call up potentially. So who knows? I don't know the visa application process for Gambia to the UK. I'm not sure. It depends on many things. So where are we going to go now? We're going to go to Transfermarkt. Here they've still got no picture for him here, which is ludicrous. It's terrible. So where did I want to go? I wanted to go to the contracts. Don't really matter. Contract expires 2025. It doesn't matter. It looks pretty nailed on that we're going somewhere between 5 and 6 million euros for this kid anyway. And as you can see, Transfermarkt, I've got the probability of transfer down as 95%, so pretty high. Player agent Universal 22. Boom. This is their client list. Top of that list is Alexander Isak. Funny that. So, I mean, I don't have to convince you guys about whether this is plausible or not, because it's already been reported by many sources that this is probably happening. But if you wanted a bit of extra reassurance, I mean, I think that helps somewhat. We know the agents. We've just dealt with them in quite a high profile transfer last summer. So it's just something that I thought.
It shows a little bit of quality of the lad when he's kind of on the same agency as Emiliano Buendia, Martinez from Villa, Luka Modric. These are great players, aren't they? So for him to be taken up by the same agency, they obviously see something in him that's worthwhile, I guess.
Exactly. I'm quite. I don't know what the right word is, but I take pride in the fact that Isak is the most expensive player on this list as well, considering some of the companies he's keeping on that list with Martinez, Buendia, and Modric. The fact that obviously Isak, I think Modric, if he was 7 years younger, would be valued considerably higher. The fact that a 37-year-old is still valued at 10 million just shows how good he is. Anyway, so let's go over to some articles. So we've got the Gambian under-20 coach, Abdoulaye Bojang, however we meant to pronounce that, has warned him about a move to us for some reason. So Yankuba is a very important player for us. You look at his performances in recent times; he's played at a high level continuously. here in the under-20 national team, we need an offensive player with creativity, someone who can deliver the right pass in the last third of the pitch. The majority of our players play in African clubs, so it is clear that Yankuba has qualities on a slightly different level. So, massive praise here. But he did go down to say, I always tell young players that they should not overestimate their own abilities. I still think it's a bit early. He's still young and he lacks experience. If he goes to a big club and doesn't perform, he's stuck. I mean, I think that's a little bit unfair. I think that's a bit naive on the process of bigger clubs. We don't operate in a bad way. I think we're very aware that this kid would need a couple of loans and development. We're not stupid. We're not going to bring him in and expect him to be amazing right now. That would be ridiculous. So I think that comment's kind of irrelevant. I think we can kind of ignore that. That's stupid. We know we're going to probably loan somebody out. So this was another article. So these are his comments. So you can so Minte admits he wants to join Newcastle as agent, sends warning. So these are his words, apparently. I'm ready to take the next step. It will only be good for me. Of course, I want to go to Newcastle. It's a big club in the Premier League and they're doing something good. They are fighting for a Champions League, for place in the Champions League. So this is what he said, and this was on the 3rd of May. This has dropped, this article. So, he's spoken about us before. This is that fixture again that I'm trying to do some research on. And I am going to draw your attention to Twitter as well. We don't normally look at Twitter for this, but I thought it would be appropriate in this context because we don't have any stats for him. So I'm trying to give you guys something, that we can show you. So he played 2 games for the under-19s and made his debut for the seniors, and he actually scored in this game 3 minutes after coming on, as you can see here. I don't want to show you too much of the clips. Oh, I didn't mean to click on that. Let's get back. So we've got the same thing saying that Isak obviously has got the same agent, and we want to look at. So this is what I want to see at. So from Kev on Twitter, I would definitely recommend following Kev if you don't on Twitter. He's amazing, friend of mine. So he has kindly sorted out on StatsBomb a little graphic giving us the radar versus the league average in the Danish Super League. So it's not, it's not going to give us any graphics comparing him to the rest of sort of the bigger leagues or the Premier League, but it is at least going to give us an indication somewhat. So you can see here, so red is Minte and blue is the league average. So you can see here where he's spiking in. So his XG and XG per shot is enormous. His pressure regains here is at 3.7 is considerably more than the league. This is the league average, bearing in mind, not, successful dribbles again is absolutely through the roof. So when you factor in the dribbles and the pressure regains, he definitely profiles as somebody that could play in our sort of style and team. Touches in the box are very, very high as well. Successful box crosses. So the fact that as an 18-year-old, he is more than double a lot of important offensive statistics of the league averages is pretty crazy. So this is massive, massive praise to him. And if you do want to have a look at this graphic, I do recommend obviously following Kev. Let's go off that. There we go. They've got some other graphics there if you want to go and see it. So this is a thread that I picked up earlier from Next Up Ballers. And this is from the 31st of May. So this was, he called this a few days ago, apparently. So we'll click on this. So breakout season has attracted interest from the likes of us. And he's going to highlight some reasons why he's so good. So we get a bit more in-depth information here from this guy that hasn't been updated on some of the stat websites. So we've got here that he's down as 5'11", 10 stone 2. So English money there for his weight. So he's not, he's not tiny. I probably hazard he's a little bit heavier than that as well. Now he looks quite a monster.
Ectomorph. What does that mean?
So his body type
ectomorph. Yeah.
So he's got a predisposition to not store body fat. He's quite lean naturally. That's what that means.
That's why I wouldn't know what it meant.
Yeah, it means he's not chunky by sort of nature. some people can look at a slice of cake and gain weight. They don't even have to eat it. That would be the opposite. That would be an endomorph.
Billy Morphs.
Billy. Yankuba loves the ball at his feet and is a very confident dribbler. Close control dribbling style. I mean, we've talked about this already. He is a ridiculous dribbler. A very direct style of play, positive in possession, strong in one-on-one situations. And I'll let you have a little look at this clip. I think we can get away with a 5-second clip here. So you can see him driving down the line, beating his man, driving into the box, and trying to create chances for his teammates.
Reminds you of a certain Paraguayan player. Does it? That little run he did there? Very Paraguayan winger-esque.
It does a little bit, doesn't it? It definitely does. I think he's a lot stronger, though. Possesses an explosive turn of pace and acceleration, especially in the first few yards. I would agree with that. I think acceleration is the best way to describe him, which makes him a major threat in the attacking transition. Completely agree. From what I've seen of him so far, anyway. Also acquires a good footwork and can utilize flair in order to beat opponents. And you can see from this clip how explosive he is. As soon as he puts his foot down, he is astronomically fast. That change of pace.
That little pass as well. That little pass and building defenders is nice too.
Exactly. So a little bit of quality there, good technical ability when it counts. So this is another point from him. Versatile with regards to being able to operate on both flanks. So you can see here in this is from SofaScore. He's got the screenshot from that we like to use as well. He's lined up on the right-hand side of a 4-2-3-1, and on here he's lined up on the left-hand side of a 4-3-3, and he's been okay in both. As you can see, he's dropped an 8.5 playing on the right and an 8.3 playing on the left. He scored goals in both games. He seems to be, from initial sort of looks, that he's comfortable on both sides anyway. So body strength, you can see him in this little graphic, shrugging off people, driving, being very positive with the ball. This is the kind of thing you can expect from him. Good agility and good and body balance. We can help him weave out of tighter areas when in possession. Possesses competent upper body strength and high levels of natural fitness and stamina. He definitely looks like that. He just looks ready-made for our sort of play style and team. Yeah. Confident when dribbling at top speed, which is aided by his balance and coordination. As previously stated, high level of motor skills and is explosive. So we've got a little clip of him being very, very rapid on this touchline. And again, running into the box, not afraid to take players on, cut in. I mean, he started from the halfway line there and he's ended up inside the box. So, very, very useful there. Areas for improvement, this is according to Next Up Ballers, so take it with a pinch of salt. I just thought I'd pass this on. First touch when receiving a pass on occasions and decision-making. He's 18. I'm sure these two facets of his game will improve. Beans as I've gone through it, you might as well give him a follow. I feel like I've got to credit him for that. Anyway, Yankuba Minte, I think he's an exciting young prospect. Not ready for the first team. Although it's kind of difficult to say because considering, this is going to be a bit controversial here, but the Danish Super League and English League One. Obviously, Elliot Anderson was at Bristol Rovers in League One. Are the dregs of League One, because obviously Elliot Anderson scored and played well against some of the lower tier teams in League One in that season, are the lowest teams in League One on the same level as some of the best Danish league teams like Midtjylland and all of those? I would say he's got, he's doing it in an okay league. It's not like he's playing in the Moldovan Premier League or one of these other leagues. The Danish Super League is not bad. They've got European representation from the number 1 and 2 spots. But I definitely think he needs a loan. We'll see if he gets this call up for Gambia on the 14th. If anybody, I love football, so I will watch this. But again, South Sudan against Gambia on the 14th. So put it in your diaries, guys. We might be able to see this guy. If he gets a call up, you might, exactly. You might get an early glimpse of how he plays. So it's definitely worth keeping an eye on anyway.
We've got
there we go. Go on.
Got a nice super chat here from Jimmy Jones, our resident West Ham supporter. He just says, evening all, $4.99 for that. Thanks, Jimmy. Very much appreciated, as always. Let's get back to the chat, which I've kind of skipped a bit now. Okay. But this is obviously a transfer for the future, isn't it? This is very much in the Garang Kuol remit, isn't it? Where we're going to take him, get him prepared elsewhere, and then bring him to the club maybe in a year or two, see how it's progressed. But he's definitely got potential, this lad, without a doubt.
100%. I think comparing him to the Garan Qual signing is the most appropriate thing we could say on this show. I think it's just another Garan Qual sort of signing. Bags and bags and bags of potential. You can see where the talent is. You can see exactly what they could be if their development goes right. But we'll have to wait and see. But, 5 or 6 million euros, turned him out on loan. Obviously, I can imagine there's probably a few people in the chat talking about this. I know there's been a lot of question marks about Shola. I don't know exactly what his role is as a loan manager. I don't know if his job is to look after them once they're out on loan, or whether it's part of his job to organise and figure that out. It might not be. So before we slate Shola, it might be part of the scouting department's job. It might be somebody else's job to figure out the loan deal. Shola might just be sort of the happy manager that just looks after them. So before we slate Shola, I'm going to take a step back because I've slated him before, and I think it's probably best if we try and figure out who actually does it, because I don't know. But I think we could all agree we could do with some better loans and Hearts this time round.
Yeah, definitely.
We'll see.
I mean, we've all slated Shola over the years, let's be honest. It's not just a loan manager thing. It's when he was a player, we got a lot of slating, didn't he? But he was our man.
Well, his most recent video was very good.
Yes, it was. It was. It's a dynamic duo. Evening, Billy on it. Evening's Predator. Ricardo Anderson asked the question. Goldbridge talked about Oshman to Newcastle. Something you guys heard, or BS? I would say it's BS, the capital BS. I'd say 130 million pounds isn't in our kind of spending remit yet, is it?
We can spend that, but not on one player. Absolutely no way.
And then
we need to flesh our squad out. We can't spend it on one player.
Indeed. And striker isn't really an essential position. I guess in 2 or 3 years' time, we can probably talk about that. We will be talking about that quality signing. But
yeah, once Callum Wilson starts to fade, somebody to come in and challenge Isak potentially.
Baz Danander says, "Who is our cover for Bruno? And if not, who will be?" Well, I guess there's plenty of sixes around. I guess that'll become more apparent as the window goes on, won't it?
To be completely honest, I have no idea.
No, none of us.
We're looking at so many different midfielders that profile in so many different ways. Are they going to go for a really, really expensive or impressive 6, like Ugarte or Thuram? Are they going to go for a versatile squad depth option like McTominay? Are they going to go for somebody who, like a Maddison or a Szoboszlai, who can play a number 8 and up top as well? Or are they going to buy a combination of those? Maybe they could buy a couple. It's very difficult to predict at the moment. All we can do is sort of look at the links and speculate, I guess.
Ian says, I hear we've been linked to every sodding player Isovic.
Yeah, that's true.
John Rowland says, please tell us no McTominay links. He is so poor. It's about it's the squad depth thing, isn't it? I mean, I don't like him as a player. And I think it'd be too expensive to have in his squad filler. If I'm perfectly honest, that's the reason why I wouldn't want him in the squad.
Potentially.
But there you go. Mr. Reactions, where's Pauline? Where's Pauline? Well, Paul is taking a break. He's just getting over the events of last weekend, which have, would hit anyone as hard as it did him. And yeah, he's taking a break. He'll be fine. He's getting better each day, and I'm sure he'll be with us Sunday. In fact, I'm firstly certainly is. There is only one Bundesliga, says Jan. Craig says Toon. James D says, please review Gyökeres. We have been in the past. Links in the Coventry Evening Telegraph to us yesterday. Oh,
really?
Yeah. Those rumours are kind of hotting up a little bit, but again, Sophia Evening.
If there are any sort of stronger links, we'll definitely do them again.
Yeah, he was in the Coventry Telegraph last night. But we're not the only club in for him. But I think our status at the minute. Jordy Boy says, enjoy the Newcastle United video of all the Toon's goals this season. Good if you're feeling down. Indeed. Julie J's here. Good evening to you. Niels Almquist. Good evening to you. Dominic Pasuto. Hello. Nathan 8 says Lingard to Luton makes sense. Well, he's been released by Forest. Well, he's been released by Forest, hasn't he? Amongst many others. Henderson, the loan deals have all gone back.
I'll tell you exactly where it makes sense for Lingard. A Turkish club.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can just see it now, like a Dele Alli move or something. I can 100% see Lingard at a Turkish club because he can go there and reinvent himself and carry on with what he's doing.
Or even MLS, maybe. I mean, when he's there as well. I mean, getting on his bit. He's nearly 30, isn't he?
Well, I think he is 30 now, yeah.
Yeah.
Wasn't he 29 when we were looking at him? And that was a while ago, so he must be 30. Let me have a look.
Into Miami would be interested, I guess. Mason, good evening to you, my friend.
He is 30, yeah.
JB says, regards to Paul, hit me with those stats. Well, you're getting stats galore tonight. The next player is ready to come on, and we'll do that in a minute. Just get through some more comments. Simon says, Pablo Maya, his club asking 13 million. Not a lot in the scheme of things. I don't know much about the lad, to be perfectly frank. In fact, I don't know anything about him, if I'm perfectly honest. Swanky Wags Julie says, Alex, your background keeps chopping your ears off.
Well, it's chopping my headphones off. It's because I'm not at home, that's why. So I don't have a green screen.
Super Goomba, good evening to you. Colin says, why don't they just sign 11 Brazil players? I'd be good for that if it was the World Cup squad. Hi, Billy, says Paul. Sophia says, minty fresh data. Boom, boom. Badum-tish. I see that you didn't know. Stu with an absolutely awful joke here. Hi, Sophia. Have you heard that new band called Duvet? They're a cover band. With that, I think we're going to go on to our next player. South African player, Harvey Barnes. Harvey Barnes. English, of course.
South African player? What are you on about?
I just want to say Harvey Barnes, as a South African would say it. Don't know why.
Yeah. So not a South African player. Definitely English. Don't know what Billy's doing. So yeah, we've reviewed him before. There's a few people on Twitter spitting their dummies out about this, saying, "Oh, he's not going to improve our squad. He's not better than any of our wingers. This is nonsense." And I mean, he's been arguably not as good as he could have been this season in a poor Leicester side. I'll say the same thing I said about James Maddison. Harvey Barnes has 13 goals. He's put up Miguel Almiron kind of numbers this season in a relegated team. So you know, if that doesn't prove that he could do a bit more in a better team, I don't know what does. We have been linked with him before quite strongly. You know, his wages are reasonable. They're going to need to move players on. I think they'll keep certain players like Vardy and players of that nature, but they will need to move certain players on. I think Barnes could be one. £35,000 a week. You know, we could double or triple that, and he'd be fine. I doubt he'd get triple, but you know, we could if needs be. We'd still have 2 years left on his contract. I'm just reading Tom's comment there.
Yeah,
that is true.
Gambia's a very thin country, literally just a few miles on each side of the River Gambia and the estuary. It's surrounded on three sides by Senegal, a former UK colony. Senegal is formerly French. A river of fantastic information, Tommy's. Plenty of work coming his way soon, by all accounts as well.
Indeed. So Barnes generally plays on the left as a right-footed left winger is generally where he's deployed for Leicester. Obviously, we've got Maxi and Gordon who have been occupying those roles. And Isak as well, and Joe Linton, and potentially Willock. So we've got a lot of players that can play in that role, theoretically. 13 goals from the 8.9 XG, so he's running a bit hot there, but I think it is because he's got quite a high technical level, to be completely honest. When he strikes them well, he strikes them well. He's been doing it for a little while. There's no flash in the pan here. He's a decent player. Arguably should have had 3 assists, and he's only gotten the 1. So let's scroll down and have a look at the juicy bit, shall we? So versus attacking midfielders and wingers, doesn't look great here. By initial looks, not great. However, if you go and have a look at who he's profiling like based on how this is spiking, you can see here you've got Bootler for Schalke, who's had a good season when Schalke came back up to the Bundesliga. People that we will know a bit more would be Rashford. You've got Brennan Johnson, you've got Karim Adeyemi from Dortmund as well as incredible. So he is profiling like good players. It's just this doesn't look as amazing. You've got to understand, you've got to take this with the right context that he's in a poor Leicester side that have just been relegated. So his progressive carries is really, really healthy, just below the 60th percentile. Again, this isn't too bad. His non-penalty XG is nice and high. Shot volume is really healthy in the 65th percentile. You would imagine that these kinds of things would improve in a better side that's going to have more possession. I mean, look at the game we played against Leicester. How is Harvey Barnes meant to show a good statistical profile in the way that Dean Smith set them up?
Yeah.
You've got to take the stats with a pinch of salt. And for people who are going to look at this and say he's crap, or people who are going to watch the game against us and say he's crap, I think that's so unfair. Dean Smith, employed such a poor style of football to try and get anything out of that game, and ultimately it cost them staying in the league. So you've got to factor in that in some of the statistics here. But you can see it's positive in the correct areas. Aerial duels one, I thought is quite high for a wing. I was quite surprised at that. He does also have midfielder stats as well. Funnily enough, when we swap into a midfielder, look who else he profiles, like Vega, who we've been strongly linked with. Also Eze in midfield. And then you can see what it does to the rest of his stats when you make him a midfielder on paper, kind of more in the Joe Willock role. You can see that suddenly the carries are in the 95th percentile for a midfielder. So it depends on how you look at the data, really. But still, profiling really, really well. I think he'd be really, really good for us. Is it my first choice? No, but I wouldn't be unhappy if we got him. I don't know. I think, do I want him? Probably not. If we got him, I'd be okay. I'd support him. I think he's a good player. I would prefer a bit more of a marquee signing, and I don't think Harvey Barnes is a marquee signing. But I do appreciate that we've got players like Isak and stuff, and maybe we've been a bit spoilt there, and maybe we should sort out the midfield and other areas that need addressing first. And we'll see what the club do.
Scroll down now, Alex. Go back to the green and red bars. Just want to point out.
So do you want the midfield view or the winger view?
Just put the winger view on first, and then switch to the midfielder. I think Eddie Howe, if he was to sign him, So I now put the midfielder on. I think what he wants to do is transition that into the attacking midfielder winger spot to get the best out of him. That's what a manager surely must be aiming to do, because he's obviously got the tools to do the job, hasn't he?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think he could come into the side and do sort of something similar to what Joe Willock and Joe Linton have been doing on that left side. No, he's not got the physicality of Joe Linton, and he's not quite the same player as Joe Willock. But you can see how he's profiling. He could definitely play in that role and provide us extra depth. I mean, if our left-sided depth has suddenly got Willock, Barnes, Gordon, Joe Linton, Maxi, there's so many options on that left side. And again, you've got to factor in, does Maxi leave? Does anybody leave? Maybe that's why we're looking at somebody like this. Maybe somebody's going to leave.
Has he been capped? I do recall him being called up for the squad. I'm not sure if he's been capped or not. Definitely been in the squad, hasn't he?
Transfer marked him, definitely. Barnes. I think he has had a call up. Yeah, he's got one cap. So He has been capped for England. Born in Burnley. He's got dual citizenship with Scotland. I didn't know that. He's another Elliot Anderson. Oh, I forgot to include Elliot Anderson in our left midfield, left winger analysis. So we're quite stacked in that sort of area. That's kind of not a position we need right now, really, when you think about it, unless somebody's going to leave.
Again, I agree.
We've already looked at most of this. So
yeah,
he's been involved with the national setup at youth level as well. He's a very competent player, but if we sign him, I'll support him. I think he's a good player. It's not my first choice. In fact, it's not in my top 5 choices for that sort of position, but he is a good player. I've got massive respect for him. He's 13 goals this season. His output's phenomenal. He's sort of going into his peak age in that sort of position. I think he'd excel and improve in our team. But I wouldn't choose him if I was in charge. But I'm not in charge. I'm just a random person talking on a camera. So, it is what it is.
I think he'll definitely be playing Premier League football next year. There'll be no shortage of takers for Harvey Barnes. Definitely not. And I'm with you, actually. I kind of see him as in the Jack Harrison kind of transfer. I'm not really that
I
much
think they're
into
great
it.
players, but
Not really for us. I don't think they give us the quality that we should be after at this precise moment in time.
I think if we'd have finished like 6th,
yeah,
then yeah. But the
I
fact
agree.
that we finished 4th, I feel like this is a very unusual opportunity we've got to try and capitalize on that early. And if we get this window right, that's it. Like if we get this summer window perfect, we'll never drop out of the top 4 ever again.
I agree.
That's it. We're sorted. We're there. But if we make a few not poor signings, but if we make a few signings that maybe don't click straight away, or if we have a dud season and end up finishing 7th, we'll see. We'll see. It's
Imagine
one of them.
saying that 2 years ago. If I have a dud season and we finish 7th, but that's the world we live in these days, isn't it? We have kind of slightly outperformed this season, and this is the benchmark now. I guess anything less than that, people will be turning their nose up, probably unfairly as well, in future years. The way one says, even or want more football to watch, withdrawal symptoms already. Please, you guys are here to get us through. Keep up the good work. We certainly shall do. Cup final as well, though, up the A1, so you have got some football to watch. Champions League final the week after. Mason says, will he be the only second Gambian to play in the Premiership, the only one being Mo Barrow, who played for Swansea? I remember Mo Barrow.
I'm not sure. You can check that. Transfermarkt have a little filter function where you can see who's played in where and what nationality. It's very good.
Alison McGregor says, don't forget their throat clicking. That's the Gambian dialects, or whatever you want to call it.
I don't know if that's part of that, but
no, I don't. KB over in Belfast. Good evening, gentlemen. Hope you're all well and cool. God bless. Same to you, my friend. Hope you're well. Foxy says, Minter did the right for his age. Been playing against really bad teams like Horsens and Lingbu in the relegation playoffs. They'll lose tomorrow to Midtjylland. Yeah, Midtjylland have played Champions League before, haven't they? So,
it is worth saying that the coach has kept him out of the game for tomorrow because of all this speculation.
Yes, Jasmine, with that, I saw that. Yeah, Jan says the new ASM. I say, crikey, O'Reilly. Already it's starting. Evening to you, Brian. Hope you're well. John Rowland says, what about the Xavi Simons option? Whoever looked at him, I don't think he's ever been linked, has he? Who has he? I don't know.
Xavi Simons. I don't think he's ever been linked to us. I mean, I'm actually really pleased he's doing well at I think he's at PSV now. So obviously he was the young kid with the curly, bouncy hair in La Masia and the Barcelona academy that everybody's like, oh my God, it's going to be the next Messi. And then everybody got really upset because he went to PSG and didn't stay with Barcelona when he grew up. And now he's at PSV. I can't remember if he's there permanently or not. I have to check. And he's smashing it in men's football for PSG, doing really well, scoring some great goals. Looks like a really good player. I don't think he's been linked though. So if you can find me a link, then we can talk about him.
We'd love to review him because he's a hell of a player. Sophie says Tom should go on the chase. He should indeed. Talk about Minty now. This is Miggy's long-term replacement. Jimmy asks, is he a dribbly boy about Minty? I think he is, isn't he?
He is indeed a dribbly boy. But I think it's dribbly boy more in the sense of he is so much faster and accelerates quicker than 99% of players. That's what he'll win on. Just pure athleticism.
Jimmy says he wants Europa League next season. Well, we're all cheering West Ham on in the week when they play against Fiorentina in the Europa Conference final. We'll all be doing that. Hopefully, maybe even do a watch along for it. We'll definitely be supporting West Ham in that. Even to Paul Gallant, hope you're well. Geordie Boy says raw and freakish. Not quite selling him to me, Stato.
In a positive way.
Amber says he's got a lot of problems on and off. He's been fighting 2 times on training ground. He got kicked a corner flag and broke it after being subbed off. Yeah, we noticed that, didn't we? He's got a bit of a temperament problem, but he's 18, and I don't mind that so much.
Yeah, I can't find the page. I had this page up before we started, didn't I? Right. So it was basically I think he got pictured in a nightclub the day before a game. This is Minte we're on about again. So he got pictured in a nightclub the night before a game. He kicked a corner flag. It broke. It snapped in half, and he got a 2-match ban for that. He's had a training ground bust up with one of the players. What else has he done? He's done something else as well. I think he got some abuse off fans or something and went off sick for a couple of games because he couldn't hack it. I don't know whether it was whether it was racial abuse, whether it was, I mean, if it was racial abuse, then that's fair. But I don't know what happened. But he's had quite a lot for an 18-year-old. He's had a lot going on. Really, that's a lot to happen within a short space of time at a club, considering his age.
I
don't know if he's got disciplinary issues or not. I'm not sure.
No, as I say, I don't mind a little bit of maverick in a player. He's 18. He's going to grow out of that anyway. But I don't mind the player having a little bit of devil in him. Sometimes it makes them, the player they are. Not any games. I watched him earlier. He looks very physical, reminding me of J7 for strength and holding off players. That's interesting.
Yeah, but it's J7 with a turbo fitted.
Yeah. Julie Jake's on the fence with Mr. Mincy.
Why on the fence, though? If it doesn't work, it's cost us like €6 million.
Exactly. So there's no loss, is it, really?
This is the kind of transfer that we can take a gamble on.
Of course it is, yeah. Yeah, all to gain, nothing to lose, really. Even to Angelica, decorating against listening in. Been a long time, Angelica. Nice to see you back in the chat. The Crimson Lip says Dominic Szoboszlai search his name as elite. We've done him before. So yeah, we're all aware of Dominic Szoboszlai, and of course it's the German Cup final tomorrow, in which he'll be performing. So you'll be able to see that on Sky Sports, I guess. So we'll see what Szoboszlai does.
Is it on Sky, is it?
Generally is. I know they're doing a lot of the Bundesliga stuff, so I imagine it will be. But you'll find it somewhere. Who else we got in the before we go on to our last player of the evening? Julie J says, hope West Ham smash up Wednesday. Antonio hat-trick and a goal by Paqueta. Mark has watched interweb footage of him this morning. He looks shallow and fast, quite skillful, and can score a goal. Indeed. If Postecoglou goes to Spurs, Celtic might come in for Moyes. I guess that's a possibility. Not the Steve Bruce link that I made up yesterday and people fell for, which was quite funny. And I get about Minty. He was called up for the game against Guinea-Bissau but didn't play. Yeah, interesting. Right, and last comment about Minty. Gambia under 20 did phenomenal in the World Cup under 20s. They beat France in the group, only eliminated by Uruguay. They'll compete in the next years, which is it's a good side, isn't it? And Tennessee sees him lighting up the championship with pace under Michael Carrick at Middlesbrough. Right, let's come on to our third player. It's a player that's well known to everyone that watches Premier League football. Ferran Torres.
Yeah, so it came as a little bit of a shock to me when he left Man City. I didn't think he was going to go. I thought he'd. I just thought he would stay. I was very surprised. But again, he's one of the reasons when people complain about Man City and spending all the money and all of this. I mean, they've not really spent that much money when you think about it. Haaland was a release clause. They've managed to sell Gabriel Jesus, Zinchenko, Ferran Torres. They've sold some players for some big fees. That's unfortunately what we can't do yet, but maybe we will be able to in the future if we want to rotate the squad and freshen it up. But City have sold 3 big players, Ferran Torres being one of them. Obviously, he's gone to Barcelona. Still very, very young, only 23 years old. Only recently turned 23, like 3 months ago. Wages, I mean, it's Barcelona. It is what it is. He's on 190 odd grand a week, which is enormous. He's got a fat contract as well till 2027. So I don't know on what planet this transfer is feasible, but apparently this planet, because he's been linked. I just can't see this happening financially. Obviously, Barcelona have got a lot of financial issues. So maybe if I'm trying to figure out how this could happen and justify it, if they're willing to take a hit just to try and get some transfer fees back, I don't know. Maybe on the off chance they might be willing to offload him because he's maybe a high value asset. Right. Anyway, we'll talk about who he is as a player now. So 6 foot. So he's not a tiny sort of forward. He's a versatile forward, sort of striker, right wing, left wing, a little bit more of a wide forward. In La Liga this season, not got all the minutes, but got some of the minutes. 1,300 minutes is not too bad. Although it is quite a low number considering he's had 32 appearances. There's been quite a lot of substitute appearances in there. 4 goals, 2 assists. Arguably should have had 5 goals, 4 assists based on his XG and his XAG, but just been unlucky there. Champions League minutes and Europa League minutes. Managed to bag 3 goals in the Champions League, which is no joke. So we know he's played for two elite clubs in Manchester City and Barcelona. So any chance of getting somebody like this in the squad, you've got to snap their hand off. And we will show that by having a look at his graphics. So shot volume, very, very high. His non-penalty expected goals and expected assists is in the 83rd percentile, which is extremely high as well. Shot creating actions is a little bit below average, but it is what it is. Take-ons is very, very healthy, 75th percentile. It's one of his better things. Progressive passes received is nice and high. Lots of touches in the attacking penalty area. Again, he's 6 foot, and as you would expect, not always the case, but it is nice and healthy in the aerial duels one. So he's played in the Premier League. We know he's physical enough. He's got those attributes to beat players. And if we go and have a look and see who his stat is, who his sort of profile matches, you've got some absolutely ridiculous players on this list. You've got Kvaratskhelia on the list, Vinicius Jr., you've got Salah, Diaby, Rashford, Martinelli. I mean, being compared to all of these players.
That's the best comparison list I think I've seen on one of these shows, to be honest. That is the 10 players there. Every single one of them is world class, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean, it's quite a nice spread as well. I mean, when you think about it, look, Sterling somehow managed to sneak onto that list. I mean, he profiles really well, but this is why you've got to take stats with a pinch of salt, because you can see that Sterling's profiling very well, but he's not doing very well at Chelsea. So it's not always about the statistics, but it gives you a general idea in terms of how they can play. But the fact he's got Kvaratskhelia and Vinicius Jr. and Adeyemi, see, these three here are three of the best young players in the world at the moment. Absolutely incredible. And then you've got Diaby, obviously. Mo Salah is not young, but still incredible. Rashford, again, is not as young as everyone thinks. But the fact he's profiling like this is very, very impressive. So let's go and have a look at his SOFA score, shall we? So this is his recent run of fixtures from April up to a few days ago. So 3-0 win over Mallorca. I don't know if it wants to load. So did he start? No, he didn't. So they went with the front three of Ousmane Dembele, Lewandowski, and Ansu Fati, and then he got subbed on. He only played a few minutes. We're not even going to look at that. That's pointless. Have we got a game where he actually had some minutes? Rafinha started on the right wing here. 63. Okay, he got a little bit of football in this game. Came in and played on the right-hand side in that front three. Managed a key pass, a cross, a long ball, created a big chance for his team, not too involved physically there. I mean, you can see why there were transfer rumours linking him away, because he's not playing a lot of football. They've got an enormous, they've also got Gavi playing in this sort of, it depends on what formation they're playing. So he started this game. We might get more data out of this. This was against Atletico, so it's probably why he was chosen. Quite a funny heat map here for him, but it's not too bad. So he got his goal, 3 long balls, 84% pass accuracy. Not too interested in that on a winger like him. 2 shots on target is good. Didn't complete any dribbles. Average in terms of physicality there, but again, it is Atletico, so to be expected. Yeah, I think he needs saving. I think this is precisely the sort of player that could do with being plucked from Barcelona. I think he should be at a club where he plays 40 games a season. I think he's a great player, and I think he could do with playing more football. But likewise, Rafinha and Ferran Torres. I think we give him. I just don't see how this transfer happens. Basically, his contract. I just don't see it happening. I think it's ridiculous. I don't think it's ever going to happen. But that's just my opinion on it.
We can see why Barcelona have the financial troubles they have when they've got players like Ferran Torres on nearly 200,000 a week, not getting regular football. It's ridiculous. The question is, does his desire to play first team football regularly outweigh the chances of being homesick again? Because that's why he left in the first place, wasn't it? But who could forget that hat-trick changes the other season? It was fantastic, a fantastic hat-trick, wasn't it? Great player, he really is. Yeah,
I mean, he's done the business in the Premier League, which gives him an extra tick in the box, as is Rafinha, to be fair. It's just, it's another thing. He's Spanish, and he presumably wants to be in Spain. He's at one of the best clubs in Spain.
Yeah.
Whereas I think Rafinha would be, I think it's less of a problem where he is, obviously being from Brazil. So, and I think in our squad, any Brazilian would fit in okay. I think we've got a good club culture and a good dressing room culture. I think to a point we would be quite happy to welcome in anybody. I think anybody would enjoy joining our sort of squad. I think we've got a very good vibe at the moment.
How much would we expect to pay for him transfer fee wise, Alex? It wouldn't be cheap, would he, this lad?
Oh, I wouldn't even care to say. Should we see what Transfermarkt says?
He's one of these that got the birthday on February the 29th as well. I just noticed.
Oh, he is. Yeah, look, he's born in the leap. Yeah.
He's only
Oh,
6.
he's not born in the leap. Oh, he is born in the year 29th. Yeah. So, yeah, he's only 6 years old. 35 caps for Spain and 15 goals. I didn't realize it was quite that much for a 23-year-old. That is very impressive, incredibly impressive.
Yeah, it's immense. It's immense.
They're valuing him at 30 million euros with a highest market value of 50. But his contract, I don't know. Surely he's going to be more than 30. He's got what? How many years is that? 4 years left in his contract.
Yeah.
I don't understand how a 23-year-old, winger of his quality with 4 years left. No, it's not going to be 30 million euros. That's a massive undervaluation in my opinion. I think he'd be a lot more than that. You can see though, Transfermarkt have said, "Go away, Ten Hag. Stop it. He keeps invading my Transfermarkt." So it looks like I don't quite know what this means. We were interested and now we're not interested. I don't know. And Aston Villa are possibly interested.
Of course they are.
Who knows? Who knows?
Seems their transfer policy hasn't changed under a different manager. But Fran Torres, if we could get him,
looking at Asensio as well.
I'd be all over him. If we could get him. But like you, I don't see this happening. But what a player he is. John Mitchin says, even though not a transfer question, but what is your opinion of Man United's new away kit? Black and white stripes. Have you seen that, Alex?
I have. And I think their argument is it's very dark green, which I think is a stupid argument. And I think it's a joke. I think they're ridiculous. And it's one of the reasons why everybody hates them. Yeah,
I agree. I hope they get their asses kicked tomorrow in the cup final. Paul Glant has shared the show to social media. Thank you very much, Paul, for that help, as always. Belly Soroyas from Croatia. Good evening to you. Jimmy Jones says Antonio dropped the final. That'd be an interesting call. But it isn't until next Wednesday, so I mean, plenty of things can happen until then.
We've got Jimmy in. You see, Richarlison got annoyed with Callum Wilson and Antonio. So on their funny podcast that they do, they mocked Richarlison, rightly so, because he's been awful in the Premier League this season. And Richarlison mentioned on TikTok or something, "Oh yeah, but how many goals did you get in the World Cup?" As a comment back to Antonio and to Callum Wilson. Callum Wilson's got 18 Premier League goals this season. Richarlison's got 1. Has he got 1? Did he actually score? I think he got 1, didn't he? It's just he's such a pathetic human being of a footballer. Nobody likes Richarlison.
He scored at Anfield, didn't he? Thought he'd got the equaliser and then they would have been scored, didn't they?
Well, I think this is what they were joking about. I think he's been booked. I think he got booked 2 or 3 times because he took his shirt off, and none of those goals ever ended up counting. So he kept getting yellow cards. And the joke from Callum Wilson was that he nearly ended up getting a suspension, basically for just taking his shirt off for disallowed goals, which is quite funny.
It's hilarious. Jordan asks, how do you get to the thing at the end of his name? Well, you become a member, mate, and by doing that, you have to click the join button. I think it's at the bottom of the chat. But if you can't see it, if you're on an iPhone, I think you have to go to the Instagram page of the Toon Review, click on the link there, and it takes to a desktop version, and you click the join button there, and that'll take you into a paid page where you can join as a member. So that's the way you do that, Jordan, if you're still listening. And it would be great to see you. KK Cheer says, really hope we can sign Declan Rice, though highly impossible. It is. I think he's headed elsewhere, but he would be a great signing. And Ryan's pointed out there how to do it. There you go, Ryan. Jordan, thanks for that, Ryan. Our mod who's currently on leave from his role in the Canadian Army, and he's a welcome return back. Right, that's it. We've done an hour. 3 plays we've done there. Brilliant stuff. Thanks for all those that have subscribed tonight, and of course, hit that thumbs up button before you go. Take 3 seconds now. In fact, do it now. I'm going to play Daisy. You can click that thumbs up button. So there you go. Do that now. Let's get Daisy on the show. And while we're doing that, click the thumbs up. There we go. There was Daisy there with her little scoot around the mountains. Okie dokie, folks. That's it for tonight. Thanks very much for your attention tonight and joining us for another transfer show. Thanks for all the people that have super chatted. Thanks for all those that subscribed and hit the like button. Thanks to the mods in the background for helping us there. Of course, all my thanks go to Stato for his work again, despite him being busy today on those 3 players: Minty, Harvey Barnes, and Ferran Torres. All that remains for me to say is have a great weekend. It's Friday. It's cup final day tomorrow. Have a great day watching that and supporting this team in Sky Blue. Beat our arch rivals.
I think we've got to say thank you to Keith again for gifting another 5 memberships. I've just seen in I think Ryan's just told me.
Oh, right, fantastic. Keith again
is today.
Yeah, if that is today, let's have a look. I'm just make sure. Sometimes.
Yeah, it is today. It is today.
Ryan's just mentioned
Keith has donated another 5 memberships. So Keith Dietz, I think we're saying.
Keith Dietz, yeah, over in America. Fantastic gesture, Keith. Really appreciate that. And someone's going to be 5 of you are going to be beneficiaries of that kind gesture. So brilliant for that, Keith. It really is great. And thanks to Stato again for his hard work for the 3 players, especially Minty, who can't be found
difficult.
anywhere.
There's not much data on him, but it's worth keeping an eye on your notifications and stuff in case Paul decides to do a news video or anything on, because there's a lot happening at the moment. So keep an eye out in case Paul drops a main video during the daytime, and we might go live over the weekend. Depends what happens.
It does indeed. All the mention for me to say is good evening to you all. Stato, do my line.
Away the lads and lasses.
And we'll see you soon. Good evening, everyone.
Come back and check out some green.